Hey, it's Vicky, and today I'm here to share a book haul with you guys. I have been buying some books, and I wanted to share them with you, so let's just dive in. So the first couple of books that I'm going to mention are ones that I've actually already read, but I just wanted to quickly tell you that I got them for my collection. The first one is Different Seasons by Stephen King. This is a novella collection, and I really enjoyed all four of the novellas in here. They are like top-notch Stephen King, in my opinion. So this has Rita Hayworth in The Shawshank Redemption. It has Apt Pupil, The Body, which the movie Stand By Me is based on, and then the final story is called The Breathing Method. These are all really good, and so I wanted this collection for my shelves so that I can reread it someday. And then the next three I mentioned in a vlog somewhere, but again, I just wanted to mention them quickly. They are all books that I read as a youngster that I just want for my shelves. Two of them are R.L. Stine Fear Street books. The first one is called Bad Moonlight, and this one I remember owning, reading, and enjoying, and it's about a girl who joins like a local band. I think she's like the lead singer or something, and it also has to do with werewolves somehow. So I just remember really liking it, so I want to give it a reread. And then the other Fear Street is a Valentine's Day one called Broken Hearts. And this one I remember, this was one of the very first Fear Street books I ever read. And yeah, it's just like a Valentine's Day murder slasher mystery book, you know, for teens. So I remember really liking this. And so again, I want to give it a reread. I think I'm going to save it for Valentine's Day. And then the last one that I got for like nostalgia purposes is a Christopher Pike book called The Wicked Heart. This is another one I remember owning as a kid and really liking. And it's about a senior in high school, or he's like a high school aged kid who is a serial killer. And I think part of the book is told from his perspective, so that sounds really creepy and good. So again, I remember really liking it as a kid, so I want to give it a reread to see if it holds up. So the rest of the books in my stack are books that I have not read, and I've gotten kind of from all over the place. So some of them I don't even really remember at this point, because I have had this stack for a while. I don't know why it's taken me so long to film this book haul, but here we are. So the first two are some nonfiction books that I'm hoping to read for Nonfiction November. The first one is What Doesn't Kill You by Tessa Miller, and this one is a memoir about Tessa Miller, who, when she was in her 20s, she was diagnosed with Crohn's disease, which is a chronic disease that is treatable but not curable. And so it's basically about her, you know, coming to terms with having this disease that she's never going to recover from. And it's basically just a book about chronic illnesses, chronic diseases, I should say, and what it's like to live with a disease like that for the rest of your life, knowing that it's not going anywhere. And I first heard of this book on the Stacks podcast, and when I listened to the episode, I wanted it. So plus the cover is really pretty. So yeah, I'm hoping to read this one in November. The other one that I'm hoping to get to for Nonfiction November is one that I have been meaning to read for years, and I don't know why I haven't read it, but it's Trevor Noah's memoir, Born a Crime, and this is basically about his life growing up in South Africa. I am a fan of Trevor Noah and The Daily Show. I just think he's really smart and really funny, and so I want to know more about his upbringing. So here we go. The next book that I have is, I believe, considered a horror novel. I know I've seen it on like best of horror lists. I think it is more on the literary side of things, but it is called Whitest for Witching by Helen Oyeyemi. And this one is, I believe the reason it appealed to me is it has to do with, I don't know if it's a haunted house, but definitely like a creepy house where it's like a family has owned it for generations, and then the family experiences a loss. So it has to do with grief and this creepy house. It just sounds really interesting, and like I said, I am a sucker for creepy houses, so I don't think I'll get to it this month because I already have kind of a full plate TBR wise, but you know me though, I read horror novels all year round, so I hope to get to this soon. Next up, I have a third book in a trilogy that after reading the second book during series September, I had to get the third book immediately, and I really do hope to read this, maybe not by the end of the year, but maybe early 2023, and that is The Toll by Neil Shusterman. So this is the third book in the Arc of the Scythe series. Like I said, I can't really say anything about the synopsis or anything for this book because, yeah, it would be like super spoilery to do that, but like I said, the way the second book ended, I was like, what is gonna happen with this series? Like, I have no idea where this is gonna go. And I love that. I love that I'm just gonna have to just totally be surprised. But yeah, this is a series about a future society where they have eliminated death. And in order to control the population, because obviously nobody dies, they have these group of people called scythes who are basically trained to go out into society, and they glean people, which is they literally kill them, and they really die for real. And so the series kind of centers around these two people, two teens that are chosen to be apprentices to become scythes. And it's just really interesting, thought-provoking stuff, and I really like it. So I'm excited to finish it out. Although I did just hear that there is like a short story collection coming out that is a tie-in to this series. But other than that, I'm excited to like finish out the trilogy, the original trilogy, and just see where it goes. The next book that I am going to be hauling for you guys is The Pull of the Stars by Emma Donoghue. And this one I picked up because I have read a couple Emma Donoghue books. I think this will be my third one, and I really like her writing style. And this one deals with a nurse living in Dublin in 1918, and she works specifically in the maternity ward of a hospital, and it takes place during the flu epidemic during World War I, and how the flu and everything affected her particular hospital, her particular ward, the maternity ward. And so I've heard this is really good. So yeah, and like I said, I have enjoyed Emma Donoghue's books in the past, so I'm excited to check it out. The next book I'm going to talk about is one I picked up because we talked about it a little bit during the virtual reading retreat back in August, and I decided, I'm just gonna buy it because I was kind of on the fence about it. Because I read a book by this author a couple years ago and really liked it, but I just was like, I don't know, I was feeling timid for some reason about picking up her second book, or well, it's not her second book, but a book, her next book, we'll just say. That is The Wicked Sister by Karen Dion, and this one I'm really interested in because it takes place in Michigan's Upper Peninsula, just like the book I read of hers previously. That one was called The Marsh King's Daughter, and I really enjoyed it. I loved the Michigan angle because, you know, there aren't a ton of books out there that take place in Michigan, and Karen Dion lived in the Upper Peninsula for decades, so she knows what she's talking about when she writes about living in an area like that. And this one specifically deals with a woman who puts herself into a psychiatric facility because she believes that she was responsible for her parents' death. So she is in a psychiatric facility in Marquette, and then gets somehow gets some information that she didn't know regarding the murders of her parents. And it makes her decide to go back to her childhood home and kind of dive deeper and find out what really happened. And that's all I need to know. So it's like psychological, it's got a mystery element, it's got the Michigan flair. So Lindsay, actually, from Lindsay's Little Library, was the one who told me, like, if you like The Marsh King's Daughter, like, you need to read this. Like, what are you doing? So I bought it, and now I'm gonna read it. Next up, we have a book that I picked up because it was in the bargain bin at my grocery store. You guys know I tend to find pretty good reads in the bargain bin. And this one I picked up because the author of this book just released a new book that I am hoping to read soon. It's a highly anticipated book. It came out in August. It's called Just Like Home by Sarah Gailey. But this one is called The Echo Wife. And this one deals with a woman who is a clone of this woman who's doing some sort of scientific research. And yeah, she's a clone, and she's having an affair with this scientist, I'm assuming, this scientist's husband, and then the husband ends up dead. So now wife and clone wife have to figure out what happened or something. So it has kind of a sci-fi, seems like it has kind of a sci-fi aspect and just kind of a weird, you know, just like a unique sort of plot line. So I definitely want to check it out. But I still also really want to check out their newest release, Just Like Home. But this one, I don't know which one I'll get to first, but I had to get this one because it was such a good price in the bargain bin. Okay, next up we have a YA horror book, which I'm finding I do like YA horror. YA in middle grade, I don't know, it's just fun. It's just fun for me. And this one sounds like a lot of fun. It's called Clown in a Cornfield by Adam Cesar, I think is how you say it. And this one deals with a young girl who moves to a new town with her dad, and the town is very divided. I guess some sort of tragic event happened that the adults in the town sort of blame the kids for. That, you know, their reckless behavior, their partying, their this and that or whatever, caused this horrible event and basically just like ruined the whole town. And the kids, though, they feel the opposite way, of course. And so they're sort of like at odds with each other. And then this clown shows up, this killer clown, and starts killing people. I don't know. It sounds kind of fun. It sounds kind of out there. This would be a fun one if I could try to squeeze it in this month. Like I said, though, I already kind of have a full plate this month, but if I could squeeze this in sometime this month, I think it would be a great October read. And then I have another spooky book that I'm excited to read because I have enjoyed this author in the past, and that is Jennifer McMahon's The Children on the Hill. The last time I read a Jennifer McMahon was The Winter People, and that book was creepy. I loved that book. And I don't know why I haven't read another one of her books, but this one sounds really cool because it has like I don't want to say it's a retelling, it's inspired by Frankenstein, which is actually a classic that I enjoy. I've read it, I think I've read Frankenstein 2 or 3 times, and I enjoyed it. I think it's a good story. And so this one, though, it is inspired by Frankenstein, but it's not like, I don't think it's a literal retelling, but there are 2 timelines in this one. One that takes place in the 70s where you meet this woman, Helen Hildreth, who is a psychiatrist, and she is raising her 2 grandchildren, and then one day she brings home a child who I believe is orphaned or something. Her name is Iris, and she brings her home to live with them, and Iris is a bit strange, weird, odd, whatever you want to call her, but the children all vibe well together and get along, even though Iris is a little weird. And then in the present day, we have a podcast host who goes to this town where this psychiatrist lived in the 70s to investigate a girl went missing or something like that, and people in the town say that they saw a monster. And they, you know, so the town's in an uproar because they were like, oh, this monster snagged this little girl or something. And so the podcast host wants to try to find the monster. And so it just seems like it's going to be really like, I don't know, it's just going to be kind of dark and maybe a little bit gothic. And as we know, like anyone that's read Frankenstein, we know that the monster isn't necessarily the villain of the story. And I wonder if this is going to kind of play up with those themes a little bit. But yeah, so I'm excited about this one. I think it's going to be really good. And then the last one that I have, going from like spooky, scary, gothic killer clowns, we're going to talk about a Christmas book I picked up. And I mentioned this one in a vlog too, I think, when I got it. But I picked this one up because it was recommended to me because I want to try to read some Christmas books, but I don't want to read romance books, and a lot of Christmas books tend to be heavy on the romance, but somebody told me that this one is not. That it has some romance, but it's not like heavily romance. So anyways, this one is called The White Christmas Inn by Colleen Wright, and it is about a group of people that are staying at this inn in New England, is all it says. And they basically get snowed in. There's a huge snowstorm that comes in, and they get snowed in, and they're all stuck together at Christmas, and they have to spend Christmas together, even though they're all like basically strangers. And that just sounds kind of interesting to me. So like, it's gonna have the Christmas vibes, the, you know, New England winter season vibes. And And like, yeah, the Christmas stuff, but not overly romantic, though I'm sure there will be some sort of love story or love stories in here, but it just seems like it'll be a nice, like, cozy sort of book to read at Christmas time. All right, guys, that is my book haul. It's quite the stack. I haven't had a book haul this big in a really long time, but I just went through a book buying phase. It was really strange, but I'm really excited about some of these, and I would love it if you would let me know if there are any of these books that you read that you think I should definitely read sooner rather than later. And let me know if you've hauled any books lately. I would love to know what people have been picking up. So yeah, that is it. I hope you guys are having a wonderful week, and I will talk with you soon. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.